let me try this, man. Let me go ahead and speak on this thing because I see a lot of videos and I see a lot of people, talking about, man's roles and being the head of the household and submission and being submissive and what a man needs to have and things of that nature. And a lot of people have heard those type of illustrations through biblical principles. So you name your local pastor or your favorite mega pastor that you probably never met. When they talk about man's roles and man being the head of the household and things of that nature, they always refer back to Adam, the from the book, the original man, the original first being on earth. They refer back to him and they refer back to what he had going on with God before, he got his woman, before he was blessed with Eve. And when they be making these comparisons and they compare the modern man of today's society to that situation, and you hear a lot of, famous pastors, when they preach the message of a man's role and in this world, they don't never really refer back to any other Bible character but Adam, because his directives came straight from God. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like Noah. His directives came from his father Lamech. It wasn't like Moses, and who really didn't never knew his father. It wasn't like Joseph and his directives coming from his father. They go back to what God did for Adam. But this is the thing: when they preach these roles and like being head of the household and what must happen before a man to be head of the household, they leave certain things out. And that's why when, you read in the Bible and it says, study to show thyself approved, you got to go read it for yourself. You got to pray for revelation for yourself, because you will see what people left out, whether it was intentionally or unintentionally, but you will see what they left out. So when you were talking to men of the day and they're trying to figure it out, a lot of us, especially a lot of us as African American men, black men, we was thrust into this society. We was brought into life. A lot of us didn't have, father figures. A lot of us had a mother trying to play both roles, which is not intended for her. And we've been trying to figure out life. We've been trying to figure out what a real man is. We have never seen a real good idea of a man, which a man that turns into a husband. We haven't really seen real good, a real good perception of a man who did the boyfriend role right, and then who did it and went on to be a husband. Like, a lot of us really didn't see that, and then a lot of males, they get things misconstrued because they grow up and some of them do have their fathers in the house. And just because their father stayed and because their father paid bills, that's what made him a good man. That's what made him a good father. And that's far from it. You could provide all day long, but you could still be just as bad as a father that wasn't there. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of guys who have their fathers in the house, but they don't even have a relationship with their father. They never learned nothing with their father. It was just like he was geared to stay there because his father stayed in the relationship and he was unhappy. You know what I'm saying? He never taught his kids anything. He don't even have a relationship with his kids. I know a lot of kids that grew up to be men and they just like, yeah, man, I was there. Me and my pops was there, but we ain't cool. I don't even really talk to him. So you would think like, well, how could you be in a house with a man that's your father, but when you leave his house, y'all don't have a good relationship? Yeah, he paid bills. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he came home and gave mama the check and all that stuff like that. He made sure everything was on. He went to work and he worked hard. but that's all he showed you. So does that make him the head of the household? No. You know what I'm saying? Like, did he do the discipline, or did he just let you kind of grow and be what you be? You know, like all these things come into play. But when we take it back, you know, they have this original structure, right? You hear a lot of, like I said, you hear a lot of preachers and pastors talk about it, and you know they'll tell you, you know, the man's role, the man's role, and when God, when God made Adam, God made Adam, and he was put to work, he was put to work, and and Adam had to have a place to live, and everything like that, and so he had a place to live, and he was put to work before he got a woman, so he had his own place, and he was put to work before he got a woman. And he had to know how to provide, because his work tied into him being the provider. Yeah, they tell you all that, and that is partially true. That is partially true. Those things were true about Adam. But this is the thing that they don't tell you about. They don't tell you the father and son connection that allowed Adam to do what he did somewhat effectively before the fall of man. And this is where a lot of the modern day men are having problems. Now, I'm not going to say this to find justification in what men do. I'm not going to say this to tell men, oh, it's cool, man, you got somebody to understand where you at, ease off the gas, y'all take it easy on men. No, I'm not saying this to say that. But what I'm saying is to get people a different perspective on why it's a lot of misdiagnoses of relationships and misdiagnoses of a man's role and miscalculations of steps of what men are not doing right or don't have. When you look at that illustration that so many, preachers and pastors talk about, a man's role that leads him, that prepares him to become a man who can be head of the household. Like, this is the road that prepares you to be head of the household. And when you think about Adam, and you think about modern day men, and you think about, like women who, give their man so much stress because maybe he don't have this acquired, he don't have that acquired, he's not, I'm not giving him a chance because he don't have the right amount of money. I'm not giving him a chance because he don't have the castle yet. I'm not giving him a chance because he doesn't have the chariot yet. I'm not giving him a chance. And these guys are getting pissed off at life because they're trying to figure it out. And then you have a woman, or you have other men who are better off than life, try to tell you about being a man, and then they throw biblical principles in, and they'll tell you, well, Adam had this, and Adam had this, and Adam had that, and Adam had this. But you compare me to Adam. But this is the comparison. This is what I want people to see about those comparisons, and where you have been taught wrong, or where you have been taught a wrong diagnosis of Adam's situation compared to the modern man. So yeah, the modern man may be struggling financially. The modern man may be struggling to keep a job. The modern man may be struggling to put food on the table. The modern man may be struggling to find a stable household. So when you want to throw biblical principles in, because I'm a person who read biblical principles, and the thing about it is, I try to read, meditate before I throw a diagnosis out there. I try to get the best revelation on the diagnosis before I throw it out there. And when I came to realize on this diagnosis, now I know you're going to have a lot of modern day people who are so in love with self and what self has done, and you think so much. There's nothing wrong with thinking highly of yourself. And you have been in a position to where, yeah, you may have went out there and you have acquired money. You have acquired a career, and you are doing good for yourself. So you thinking, I did it, self did it. That's cool. That's cool. And you might not agree with what I'm saying. And that's fine too. But when you want to throw biblical principles in, and you want to tell me what biblical principles say about, what it takes to be a man. I just want y'all to sit back and think about a few things. When Adam was created, right? First of all, it said God didn't allow it to rain on the earth. It was seed in the ground. It was seed amongst the land for everything that was going to ever be. But God didn't allow it to rain on the earth because he didn't have a man to do what? To work the ground. Adam wasn't created yet to work the ground, right? And that's Genesis 2 and 5. If we want to get biblical, right? But if you go to Genesis 2 and 8, you want to go to Genesis 2 and 8, I got a couple things written down. So if you see me looking off to my right, because I'm trying to see what I wrote down. When you go to Genesis 2 and 8, it goes, the Lord planted a garden on the east of Eden where he put the man at. So he gave Adam a place of inhabitants, right? He gave Adam a place of inhabitants. He gave Adam a home. His father provided him a home. Adam didn't have to struggle to provide him a home. His daddy gave it to him. His daddy gave him some inheritance to provide him a home. Adam didn't pop on the scene and God say, hey man, go make it happen. Go build you a home. Go do it for yourself. No, his daddy gave it to him. You see what I'm saying? His daddy gave him a home, right? Which a lot of men are struggling with today because they haven't inherited anything from their fathers. That's a struggle. That's a disconnect that we got going on. So that's something that y'all need to take in mind. Okay, let's move to the next one. The Lord put Adam to work. He put Adam to work. When he gave him his inheritance, when he gave him his home, what he told him to do? He told him to work and keep it. His daddy gave him a job. His daddy gave him an assignment. You see what I'm saying? His daddy gave it to him. Not that he told him, hey, go find you a job. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not telling men to back off, because this is modern times now. So I want to show y'all the disconnect that a lot of people are having. His daddy provided him a job, right? He told him work and keep the grounds. This is where you stay. This is where you're going to live. You got to respect it, work and keep it. He gave him a job. You see what I'm saying? All right. Now you have a lot of men nowadays. They daddy don't give them nothing. They don't leave them no inheritance. They don't leave them no businesses. They haven't taught them anything of financial principles growing up. You understand what I'm saying? That's a disconnect. So when you have a lot of these young men who just been trying to figure it out, who probably have to jump off the porch and get into the street because they didn't have a daddy that pushed them to learn anything financially, to build a trade, to do anything. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have a daddy who passed down skills of maybe cutting a hair. They didn't have a daddy who passed down carpentry skills at a young age. They didn't have a daddy who passed down this or that. You know what I'm saying? And majority of jobs that their mother had were jobs that was kind of, in a way, I don't want to say gender bias because I don't want to get people mad, but a lot of jobs that a lot of men's, a lot of guys, mothers grew up possibly doing, like sometimes it was leaning towards, things that women do that men wouldn't gonna do. I know a lot of men who grew up whose mother worked in daycares and stuff like that. Like, how many men you see working in daycares? You know what I'm saying? Like, or like being nurses or something like that, or being, whatever. It was a job that the society looked at as a female dominant job, or a job that was kind of catered towards female. So it's like women wasn't teaching their young men, things that could take them into the future. I'm not saying all of them, but most of them wasn't. So, but when you look at, when people are trying to compare modern day situations back to Adam, you got to understand his daddy gave him a job. His daddy gave him an assignment. His daddy gave him things to do. He didn't have to just go figure it out on his own. You see what I'm saying? Now, Coming to him having a home, coming to him having a job, and him learning how to work and keep the land, that's where his food came from. Adam was told that he could eat of every tree, every brush, every shrub in the garden except for one. He had unlimited food for the rest of his life that his father provided for him. You see what I'm saying? His father provided him food. You see what I'm saying? He didn't have to go find his own food. All he had to do was, he probably had to go pick it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but his father provided him food. Like, all he had to do was just chill and till the land. That's it. His food was there, provided by his father. You see what I'm saying? That's something that he really didn't have to work for. His daddy provided him for him enough for the rest of his life. And then he provided him protection. The protection was simple as this. Don't touch this. Don't touch this. Don't eat of this. And trust me, you'll never have no problem. He provided him protection. Simple as that. Guidelines and barriers. Structure. Don't stay away from this. That was something that his daddy provided for him, which a lot of like I said, men don't have. And this is not, like I said, this is not something to tell men to pump off the brakes, get off the gas, forget about it. No, but this is just a disconnect that a lot of people have. So when you see that, then when God tells Adam, when God comes up and say, hey man, man, Adam, it ain't good for man to be alone, right? It ain't good for man to be alone. Instantly, God didn't go and make Eve. He doubled back again and gave him a whole nother load of work. He gave him a whole nother load of work. You understand what I'm saying? He provided him a whole nother load of work. Hey, I'm going to bring all these animals to you. I need you to name them. I need you to do what you got to do. I'm providing for you. I just need you to name them. And when you name them, that's what it is. He provided him a whole nother, he provided him additional work before he got a woman. You see what I'm saying? And then he got a woman. And then he provided him a woman. And then when he provided him a woman who was unknown to any other man, because there was no other man for her to be known by. It was no other man for her to be even influenced by. You see what I'm saying? On top of that, Adam was unknown to a woman. So he was uninfluenced. He was uninfluenced by any other woman too, but that's a whole nother day. But if you don't put it like this, if you don't think all your experiences that you have in life have a lot to do with your ideology and the problems you have in your relationship, you are sadly mistaken, and that's going to be a circle that you're going to keep going around and around and around for the rest of your life, because that has a lot to do with why a lot of your relationships are failing. Because the truth be known, all this experience is just giving you more to compete and compare, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good. I know we think it. I know we thinking that, we got to compete, compare, and we can lay things down on the side and we got it all under control and stuff like that. And you thinking, the more experience should tell you what you want, but at the end of the day, it's simple. It is, yeah, that's a whole nother different topic though. But all I'm saying is that, look, so you have the modern day man. You have the modern day man out here, and we grow up in a society where we're supposed to have heritage, and we were supposed to have inheritance, and we're supposed to have legacy and all that stuff like that, and things that are passed down. Just like biblically, like you have things that are passed down. Yeah, you have things that fall into place along the way. You do have your Josephs who go through what he go through, and he makes it to top man in Egypt. You have that. You know what I'm saying? You have a Moses who don't know his father, and he go through his trials and tribulations and come back and be called upon to be one of the greatest people in the biblical texture. You have that. You know what I'm saying? But majority of these things from a male perspective is something that they were conditioned to get ready for. They were prepared for. You see what I'm saying? And then they were given inheritance to help them, because it's hard to start from the ground up. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to start from the ground up. It's hard to start anything from the ground up. You know what I mean? So when these people pretty much gave them a start, a pre-start to their lives. You know what I mean? So when you think about a lot of this stuff that's going on, and when you see the modern day men and they struggling, and then you have people telling them that they should be the head of the household, and this is how they should be a man, and this is how, you know, a man's supposed to do it, and all that. You have guys out here that have been trying to figure it out since 12, 13 years old, with no good example of what a good man, a good provider, a good boyfriend that turns into a husband, which is a good husband. They have no good examples of that. Yeah, they have people who have had longevity in relationships. They had ideas of people who stayed and stayed, but always cheated. You know, like you know what we inherited. A lot of us inherited a lot of dysfunction. That's the things that we inherited. A lot of dysfunction. We inherited how to mess around with the women. You know what I'm saying? We inherit how to be players. We inherited how to lie. Those are things that we inherited. You know what I'm saying? We inherited how, when things get rough, how to dip and go find another woman. We inherit that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we don't have good inheritance to work from. You know? Like, if you notice and you look at the trend, if you see a male that's been in his son's life and he puts him in a position and he gets him prepared, and it may not even be something that kid even is interested in, but he passed down what he knows to that kid, because at the end of the day, you might not like it, but these are survival tactics. Those kids normally turn out to be somewhat all right in life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they may go chase what they want in life, but if what they want is not popping off at that time, they always have something to fall back on. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I'm going to pass down, you know, haircutting to my sons, you know, and a couple of other things. Now, the thing about it is that I didn't have nobody teaching me how to cut hair, you know, or I didn't have nobody teaching me how to do carpentry work, you know. I didn't have nobody teaching me how to do that. I learned it on my own, but that's something that's going to forever be with me. But now I'm going to bestow that on my kids. My kids may not want to do it, but they are going to learn it, because when your dreams are not moving as fast as you want them to, you have something to sustain you in life. You see what I'm saying? And when you don't pass down those things, it makes it just that much harder for your offspring to have an upstart in life. You know, like, it's just life is all about the setup package. You know what I mean? Like, we supposed to leave something to our next generation. That's just how it's supposed to be. You know, because you can bring a baby in this world, and if you teach them nothing, they don't know nothing. So you have to deposit things, and you have to pass things down to the next generation. That's the only way the next generation gonna survive. You telling me if you just bring a baby into this world and you just leave him out to learn on his own and let him live on his own, man, that baby ain't gonna survive. And if it grow to be an adult just making it by, it's not gonna know nothing. Like, you gotta pass these things down. You have to instill things into people, you know? So when you have these males out here who are, you know, trying to make it, trying to get the best living space that they could possibly have, trying to have the best transportation that they could possibly have, trying to provide a meal, not only just once a day, sometimes 3 times a day. You know what I'm saying? Always trying to have money in the bank for the rainy days and more. Like, these are things that a lot of these males are doing are trying to figure it out on their own. And a lot of women are trying to figure it out on their own too. So for the ones who are trying to figure it out on their own as a women, y'all should know. And a lot of y'all do know, because a lot of y'all don't give men a hard time about it. But at the end of the day, it's just, when a lot of people come from these biblical principles on what's a man's role and what he should be doing and how he should be doing it, don't throw biblical principles out there. Don't throw the comparison to Adam and what him and God got going on or had going on without understanding the fact that God gave Adam a place to stay. God gave Adam food for the rest of his life. God gave Adam, God gave Adam his assignments. God gave him those. You know what I'm saying? Adam just didn't have to go figure it out. God gave those to him. God put those in his face. God told him what he expected. You know what I'm saying? Like, so these are things that his father gave to him, had a position for him to do. And all he had to do was just listen and plug in. That was it. And when he made his fall, he made his fall from his obedience and not listening. Yeah, it messed some things up, But you have a lot of kids who have been born out here who father don't give them nothing. Ain't nothing. What you ask what did you inherit from your father? I don't even know who my father is. So when the kid tell you, like, as a woman, this is what as a woman that I want women to understand. When you meet a man, and he tells you, you ask him, so, your mother and your father still together, or how your relation with your father? And he tells you, I don't even really know my father. I ain't had no dad, and he can't produce any type of a good relationship with a good imagery of what a man is. I'm not saying run away from him and leave him high and dry like a lot of other people did, but understand that this dude is working from the ground up trying to figure it out. And he don't know everything. And your experiences that you had in the past, don't put that in his face, because a lot of your talk comes from your experience. You see what I'm saying? So be mindful of what you put into this man's face. You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. And vice versa with men. A lot of your talk comes from your experience. So be mindful of what you say to these women, because they know you talking from your experience. And when you talking from your experience, and when your experience is kind of demeaning them, that makes them feel inadequate, like they not adding up. Y'all got to remember that. You know what I'm saying? So, but just remember, a lot of us people in general are fighting from the ground up, from scratch. We have not been left nothing from the people before us except for hard times. We haven't been left nothing from the people before us but dysfunctions. We haven't been left nothing. We haven't been left no financial literacy. We haven't been left no education. Like, we've been robbed of our education. We are fighting from the ground up. We are trying to figure it out. So instead of everybody trying to have their way, this is where we become equal at. Know that, guess what? You are fighting, put it like this, nobody even paved solid ground for you. You are trying to figure out your solid foundation. Guess what? They are too. And y'all like each other. And y'all trying to build something together. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta get more into depth about the way you think. And just understand, man, that majority of people that you meet, that you come in encounter with, to try to go on that journey of being in a relationship with, most of the time they're gonna be fighting from the ground up. Yeah, they may have a degree or something like that, but that don't mean nothing. They could be still fighting from the ground ups on how they interact with people. So, but until then, man, it's just really, before we start spewing things out, really diagnose things and really do research on things and really dissect your thoughts before you throw a diagnosis out there, and it's hard to take back. It's simple as that.